Yay. We're going to get that for Kylo. H-O.
Look at that jaunty angle.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight at Left Bank Books. Tonight we are celebrating Kyle Starks and his new book, Karate Prom. This young adult graphic novel is a loving homage to teen comedies of the 80s, as well as the badly dubbed kung fu movies of the 80s as well. Join us as we welcome Kyle Starks, a 3-time Eisner nominated comic creator from Southern Indiana. Yay. Thank you. Hop right to it. Let's see, and here's Kyle to give you his presentation.
Hey, thanks for that lovely introduction and having me today at Left Bank Books. Very kind.
Yay.
Hey, I made a presentation. Let's talk about Karate Prom. That's my new book. I'm Kyle Starks. Here's the proof. It says it's me. I'm Kyle Starks. So if you had any doubts, it's me. So this is my first books. I've been comic shops like all across the country. I've done hundreds of signing events, but this is my first like in-store presentation. I made this on my iPad today. That's not super nice. That's Don. He's from my book. He's kind of the main character. He's a good kid though. He says I'm old and I fear technology, which is true. So here's a little bit about me. Kyle Starks. I'm a comic book for a living. As said, my number one thing is I'm a 3-time Eisner nominee. That's like the Oscars for comics. It's a big deal for me. They announced them today. No 4th. We're not mad about it. According to Comic Vine, I've done a bunch of comics, 170 comics, and 4 graphic novels. It's probably more than that. I absolutely do not have a Wikipedia page. My kids love that because I'm just famous enough. I should probably. I don't. I started in 2013. That's my first book. Legend of Ricky Thunder, we just optioned that year. It was never published. I kickstarted it. Pretty big deal. And then my first published book was SEXCASTLE from Image Comics. That's Sam. There's some crazy titles. SEXCASTLE was nominated for an Eisner and optioned before it came out. So that was my first book. It was a weird start. Has Kyle Starks ever written anything we've ever heard of? Yes. I've done these guys. Peacemaker and Lockjaw, Rick and Morty. I did Rick and Morty for 5 years. Harley Quinn. But most of the stuff you've written we've never heard of, right? Yes. Let's talk about Karate Prom. Karate Prom is about Don the Dragon Wilson Jones. Don the Dragon Wilson is a martial arts film actor from the 80s. Some people don't know that, from the popular Blood Fist movies. I have to say that now because someone just thought it was a weird middle name I gave the character and not a comedy bit. Don Dragon Wilson Jones, he does not wear this shirt. In the book, which is a ghost doing a karate kick and it says Kung Boo on it. That will be on my Threadless shop next week. Huge regrets on my part for not having the Kung Boo. Sometimes you have good ideas afterwards. This is Sam Stedman. I don't know why I didn't capitalize all of her last name. I'm bad at that stuff, design stuff. So it's about them. They meet at a karate tournament. They're, of course, karate bullies. You must have the karate bullies. Sam and Don go to prom. Look how much fun they're having. All sorts of chaos breaks out. There's punchings and fightings. An ex-bully maybe hires hitmen off of the Soldiers of Fortune website to try to kill teenagers. This is just the first third of the book. There's a lot more after this. I'm not going to spoil it. I know what you're wondering. But what is Karate Prom? Well, I used a simple metric to come up with the book, which is it has karate in it and a prom. Usually when I do like interviews and stuff, when you do interviews and you're promoting a book, the people tend to just tell you how they felt about the book you guys get this year. Okay. They just tend to talk about like how which is nice because they go, oh, I love your book so much and I like this part and this part. And you go, yeah, but let's tell the people what it's about. This one's about a karate prom, guys. It's not hard. It's like if you combine all of your favorite John Hughes teenage films with some dope martial arts films. It's simple, guys. We can just do it. How did Karate Prom come to be? This is my first presentation. I'm burning through it. I think I have one more slide after this. We're really doing great. Yeah. But luckily, this is like the interesting part. I'm going to tell you guys because I think it's semi-interesting. So I'm a comic creator. I've been doing it professionally for 7 years. I think my first one was 2013, so like a long time. I started when I was, 2013 was what, 14 years ago? So I was 33. I was 33 when I made my first comic, and I went pro at 40. So feel free to be inspired by my old man story. I started as a cartoonist, which means I wrote and drew, and I did everything really. And since then I've shifted to writing because my writing's stronger than my art, though I think my art's okay, it's fine. They look good. There's ninjas, clearly. But I had drawn, so basically at 40, let me think of the math. I think I've drawn 2 books since I turned 40, basically. And when COVID hit, it was very challenging for everybody. Listen, we all get it, but for comic creators, it was especially rough because of 2 things. No more conventions, which is how most of us make our secondary money, and they quit printing comics for a little bit because no one could go to stores to buy them. Do you guys remember this? Did you guys? Yeah, the bookstore, as I talked to the bookstore people. So it was very stressful. In the comic book industry, we have Free Comic Book Day, which is a day where stores give away free comics to try to get customers to come to their shop once a year, the only time anyone wants to go to a comic shop. And but it's kind of it's the only kind of truly positive day in comics, for creators, because it's everyone cares for one day about comics, so we get only one day, and we get very excited about it. And during the lockdown, which was March, we all remember, we were there, March, April, May is when Free Comic Day is. I felt like, not that I was going to help anybody or I was going to save anything, but I thought we needed something for Free Comic Book Day. So I said to my Twitter people, we'll say 2 weeks before Free Comic Book Day, I said, hey, I'm going to do a free comic. In my head, it's going to be 8 to 10 pages. Send me titles, and we'll vote on the best title. And oh, don't do it yet. No, I'm so bad. Oh, I broke it. It's not the end. Wait. It's my first PowerPoint. So I was like, oh, send me titles. I got sent a bunch of titles. Karate Prom is obviously the best, objectively the best title ever for anything. So Karate Prom won, and again, I thought I was going to do an 8-page comic, and I give it away. I became something about it. I did 32 pages in 10 days, which is not impossible because I did it, but it's not recommended. But I fell in love with these 2 kids, Don and Sam, who you saw earlier waving and mocking me. And their relationship, and I'm older, and 80s teen movies, all the tropes added together are so magical, and it all just came out of me. So I didn't write a script, which I almost never do for my stuff. I didn't plan anything, and I did 32 pages in 10 days, and I loved it. I also hadn't drawn anything in so long, I forgot how much that's my favorite part of storytelling, is when it's just me playing. And so it kind of saved me. Honestly, this book kind of saved me over a time that we were all having hard times. I did 2 more chapters secretly. I didn't release them. And I was like, I'll figure it out later. And then last year we went to first, second. And that's how Karate Prom came to be. What they said. They say that wasn't that fast. A little fast, Don? Probably. What are you saying? Everyone should buy 2 copies so we can go to karate college. I think that's a good recommendation. Listen, that was fast.
That was great.
But there's nobody here, so I can burn through it. Do you want me to read bad reviews of the book?
No.
Maybe just one.
Okay, just one that you think is really funny.
Misplaced is what I would say. Funny's not right. One of the things the publisher put out was the end line was that it's a madcap romp completely devoid of any redeeming or moral content. That's what the publisher put out. And we're like, that's interesting. It's not true. It's super fun. If you were thinking, I'm gonna pick up a book called Karate Prom, and you're gonna have a serious artistic experience, I can't help you. I'm gonna read part. I'm not gonna say what it is. This is what Karate Prom is not. We've said what Karate Prom is. This person says, I have to say that as a teacher and practitioner of karate, that's how they said it, not me. This book is a disservice. Not a single character shows the respect for others they should be learning in martial arts. The book even opens with the main characters. Oh, that's Don. He's right there. Having a great time at prom with Sam. The book even opens with the main character, supposedly a leading karate student, running late to a competition where he assumed he would win. And there's an online forum of Kung Fu Hitmen for hire who will take a job to try to kill a high schooler. This is correct. There's in a paragraph about how they are fighting each other and they don't love it. At one point, they point out how there's bullies in this. There's bullies, there's an evil ex-girlfriend, there is an Italian mafia ninja family. They're all bullies, that's the nature of bad guys. But they're like, there's two gay characters who do not get bullied or attacked. And we can't tell if they're pleased with that or if they're mad that they did not. We can't tell. Anyway, they say it's too brutal to be funny, it's too goofy to be serious, and the lesson learned is questionable. There is no lesson. It's called Karate Prom, and we're just trying to have some fun. Hey, thanks for listening to me talk about Karate Prom. I guess we're now going to open it to questions. Theoretical questions.
I
Oh,
have a question.
yes, Elena?
Yes.
Yes, person in the crowd.
Yes, I'm serious.
There's so many, how would I know? Who's who?
So when you were writing it, it came from Twitter, Karate Prom is the idea. Did you just run with building the world? Did you make your characters first?
So there's a couple things that were in play. One is by letting people choose the title, I knew there was no pressure on me because everyone understands, like, I just got this title. It's not my title and I'm trying to do a service to this weird title. So I think the only question for me is, what is a karate prom? Like, are they fighting instead of dancing, or was there fighting at, so that's the first question. The answer is they went to prom and then there's fighting, as there should be. And so then it's just like, how do you get to that point? And like, creations of things is interesting, especially for me, because the ones that are my favorites and the ones that I enjoy the most, I don't recall much about them. And in this case, I literally did it in 10 days. So I literally just started doing it. And I was like, these are the beats. I was in the shower. I know I was always in the shower. Aaron Sorkin said when he was at the peak of West Wing, he took 6 showers a day because that's when he had his best ideas. So he's like, just go back to the shower. And I'm so jealous that he could afford to take 6 showers a day. But I get it, buddy. I get it. So I kind of started, but I think I was in the shower and I was like, oh, this is what it is, which is basically Don meets Sam at a karate tournament. She beats him. He's immediately smitten with her. And she is fake dating his bully, who's, of course, his childhood friend, now bully. And he was only dating her for like mind games so he could also beat her in this tournament, etc. So it's like, oh, there's a bully. They were going to try to keep them from being happy at the karate, at the prom with karate. So once I sort of had that, I just started doing it and hoped I didn't mess it up. And I think because it had been so long since I was drawing my own stuff, I didn't mess it up. And this is like the one thing, like what's the story about making it? I think I had 14 days and I drew for 10 of those days. So there wasn't like, for most of the things I do, especially when I draw them, I don't do a script. I don't recommend this. But I don't do a script. What I do is I tell myself the story over and over and over, and I kick out bugs and I solve problems, right? So, but here's the story beginning through the end, and I go, I didn't like this part needs something to set it up, and I'll tell myself again. And I keep doing that until I go, that's the story, and then I just start drawing it. Usually when I draw a thing, it's like Karate Prom, where it's not monthly issues, it's going to be an OG or a book in this case, right? And that means there's no page count, so I can work for as long as I want. I can do as many pages as I want, I can do as many bits as I want, and as long as they do service to the story, I keep them. With mainstream comics, I have to take into account 20 pages probably per issue, how many panels an artist will do. Like, I'll do 8 to 12, I don't care, because it's me. Professional comic artists don't want to do 8 panels, they want to do 6, and probably less than 6. So it's different storytelling where I have to figure out how to have someone else tell my stories, which is frankly less fun. But I also get to work it out differently because I don't use a script, and they do, right? This is the longest answer I've given anything ever.
Great answer.
But yeah, so I'm very much in my, I'm a 3-time Eisner nominee, so 3 of those books are good, and Karate Prom. I very much like, for my voice, outside of being silly boys doing tough guy things, I like for things to seem very familiar. So when you read, I did this book called Where Monsters Lie, and it's called, it's about a gated community for slasher monsters. And it's basically full of archetypes of your favorite slasher monsters, right? But they're not quite them. But there's a shorthand here. Like, it's funny, it's a gated community where they all live and they're having HOA and they're mowing lawns and someone's getting food for them. Like, how does Chucky get cable? Someone, because he doesn't have chest anyway. It's a whole thing. But I did this thing where it's like, here's this crazy story, but when you enter it, you go, oh, this feels familiar, but it's different, and I like that. So I like archetypes and tropes very much. So someone said the John Hughes meets martial arts thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love John Hughes' teen movies. And someone else said it's like Scott Pilgrim meets some other kung fu movie, I can't remember. And I'm like, oh, I like that too, because there's exes in it, and there's romance, but the romance isn't the whole thing, but actually it is kind of the whole thing, right? And I think it's very similar, and of course we'll take John Hughes and Scott Pilgrim references all day. So yeah, I like archetypes. So there's a lot of those tropes. I mean, like you saw the bully, he looks like every blonde-haired bully in every 80s. Like if there's a mountain for skiing, like you know that guy's causing problems. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of familiar things, and then trying to be as modern as a 47-year-old can be with representation and whatnot. And that's the story, that's the answer to that.
Any other questions?
Oh,
Is there anything that surprised you about the characters while you were working out their storyline?
so I don't think there's anything that surprised me, because even with something like this, where I fell into it, I kind of knew who the characters were. I think my North Star is always to make the thing that I want to exist in many ways, and also consider that there is an audience reading it. But I want to read my stuff and go, I like that a lot, because I'm trying to make something that I would like, right? This book I did in 2020. I just reread in 2023. And when I finished, because I made the comments, you make sure the pages are in order. You have to read it. And I ended and I go, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want it to be. Like, this is the exact kind of story I want it to be. So I don't know if there's any surprises. But there's certain things that I like that for sure weren't there in the beginning. Every character that you see has some arc, and at the beginning that wasn't the case. Like there's some like nameless bully underlings who are just nameless bully underlings, but in the third arc, like they get names. They get names and like kind of, and like I like that. Like when I reread it, I was like, oh, I like that I did that. And I do a classic 80s movie bit where at the end it's like, where are they now? Where have they been? Oh yeah, it's my favorite. And it's their prom pictures. It's like them at prom. And then it says like what happened to them after prom. And like, I love that. And some of that stuff wasn't, like that was never part of the plan. I reached a finish to my head, what was the conclusion of the story. And I'm like, oh, well, I want to know what happened to the next, because I think whenever you are very fond of characters, like that's the best thing is like, oh, then they had happy lives, or he was a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, oh, of course he was a lawyer. Why wouldn't he be a lawyer? He was being a lawyer through the whole book. So that was surprising, but only in that I didn't plan it, but it's what I wanted it to be. So that's kind of the answer. Sort of an answer. Do you have any online questions? Anyone?
Let's take a look.
Is there anyone online?
There is.
Whoa!
Hi. This is St. Louis Urbanist.
I'm sorry?
Are you out of St. Louis Urbanist group?
No.
No. Okay.
Kung Fu. It's pretty good.
I like that show.
I know, I'm putting it on the internet as soon as I get home.
Do we have any other questions from y'all, or?
Brian, do you have any questions? He's known me since I was 8.
5.
Wow.
Hi, Kyle. Nice to meet you.
Uh-huh.
Your photo looks great.
In the back?
Yeah, thank you. When you were writing in this 10-day fever dream,
Uh-huh.
did you take any breaks to review John Hughes movies or Bruce Lee movies, or
No time.
it was just all innate?
I've seen
baked into
yeah, I've seen a lot of those.
your DNA.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think I maybe watched I maybe, because this was 4 years ago, I think I maybe watched like a best martial arts movies fight YouTube compilation once. For the most part, I love doing fight choreography in my comic books, not in real life. I don't know any of that stuff. but I take a lot of joy because I think, as I tangent off from a normal question into too long of a, I think that, you guys know comic books? Are you familiar with comic books? So there's kind of two ways that traditional American comics do fights. Manga is much better about this. But in traditional American comics, either there's one very cool panel of someone throwing a punch, that's what we call the Kirby method, where it's like the best punch you've ever seen, right? And then the fight's over, or it's like 3 panels of that. Or, which is not very common at all, you see the whole fight, right? I think if you have characters fight, it should say something about the characters, and it should do something about the story, so I think the choreography is very important. I don't have panels, of course, because why would I, but Sam is one of my favorites. That's Sam. Look how happy she is. Sam's so happy because she's great at fighting. So she basically lives a life without fear. There's a sports writer named Bill Simmons who is a certain type of basketball player he calls unearned confidence shooters because they'll shoot the ball even though maybe they shouldn't. That's kind of one of my favorite types of characters, though. For Sam, it's earned, but she basically doesn't lose a fight even close in the first 2 chapters because she's very good at this, and because she's very good at this, she's happier than most people. Because imagine if no one could say anything to you and no one could hurt you. I think it's like a very powerful thing, and I love that type of character. So her character arc includes the way that she fights. Don, that's not Don, that's the bullies. Don, whole thing is he's not the best fighter, but he's very good at defense, and he's very good at strategy, and he never gives up. You see that through his fights, like you see with how he treats Sam and sort of troubles at their end. And I love that. So I think fights are important. If you do them, they should mean something. That's what Kyle says. That's a great question in the back. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Well, is there any like parting thoughts you wanted, or if you don't, that's okay.
That's okay. I'm really grateful you guys had me out. It's been a really nice time. I did my first presentation. Very exciting. This is the first of, I'm doing 3 bookstores. I'm super proud of this book. If you think that I think it's literally all ages. I mean, maybe if people think kissing's yucky, they won't love it. There is a little bit of kissing in it, but I think it's pretty playful. But I think it really is all ages. I enjoyed it, and I'm old, and I know my teenage daughter liked it. So it's nice to have a book that sort of covers everything. It does not have a lesson to it. It's just fun, and I think that's okay. I think maybe it's even preferred if these kids just had fun, or you at your age had fun. But yeah, I'm real proud of it. I think it's a really good book. It probably saved my life. And I think it's super fun. I think books should be fun. The end. Thank you for having me. I don't know, presentation. Hey, we did it.
We did it.